The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dan French. This is a Tuesday. You guys know what this is. This is the French Workbench Podcast. We have a great show for you today. I'm your host, streaming live from Las Vegas. I have a couple of guests in here in studio, Mr. Doug Liebig and Las Vegas Home Inspections. Doug, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Just staying busy, man. Staying busy, trying to keep ahead of the game.
You got anything new that's going on? What's going on? It's hot, right? It's starting to get hot out there?
Yeah, it's getting warm. Getting real hot, actually. It'll get hotter as the summer goes.
So, guys, we also have a special guest here, and I want to bring him up here in a second. So, first off, thank you, guys. We're the most real and behind-the-scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs, which we have one. Also, a builder, high-end builder, very good guy here today, Mr. Steve Escalante. Right?
How you doing? Yeah.
How you guys doing? How you doing, sir?
Great. It's a pleasure to be on the show. It's a pleasure to talk some shop. So I love it.
Yeah, man. So thank you for coming on. So we have a lot of information that I want to chat with you about today. So first off, you're a builder, right? And you guys offer a lot of different variety of things as far as your company. And so your company is what, LiVV?
So we have a new community. It's a new company that we're rolling out a new concept called LiVV Homes.
Yeah.
It's a really, really exciting concept. I'd hate to say and be cliche, revolutionizing the building industry, but we're definitely trailblazing with what we're doing with our LiVV communities and the LiVV concept. But yeah, we've been in the custom home space, Growth Luxury Homes. It's a luxury custom home company. We've been building custom homes here from the early to like mid 2000s.
Mid 2000s. Let's take a look at your website here. So you were on a couple of podcasts, or at least one I know of, but you've been on podcasts before, correct?
We've been kind of talking about the community, the concept, even before what you see here. Various interviews, the newspaper, and just talking about what's coming up. People have been waiting for this concept, waiting for to see the idea, and it's an amazing thing to now share it with the world. So we're excited about that. A lot of hard work's gone into it. We have an amazing team. The founders, so innovative. Philippe and our design team and international design team. So we're really excited for this project to drop. I mean, it's super, super nice.
Yeah, so I want to ask you a couple things. So first off, we'll look at this. Let's look at the website that you have here. This is it's Neo Las Vegas. This is your website, LiVV Homes, right? LiVV.
Yeah. This is actually a view from the living room of one of the lots. You have a panoramic strip view.
Nice.
But these high vaulted ceilings, just fresh design. It's something different that we wanted to bring to the market, and it's really we wanted to create that 10, 15, $20 million feel when you're in the space, and offer that at a semi-custom price.
Man, that's crazy though. Starting out at 2.8, is that 2.8?
Yeah, 2.8 is our base model price, plus the land, and it's just it gives you a different experience and a different option in the marketplace right now.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Is that mainly? Are you on the east side or west side?
You know what? It's funny you mentioned we're on both. So we have an east side product in the south, the Neo, it's in Henderson. Magnus, which is our new community rolling out on the west side. Okay. That's going to be coming up, and the price point there is going to be about 1.5 million to about 3.
Are you up on the Red Rock side, like on Charleston area?
No, you know what?
Or-
We're going to be closer to the Southwest corridor.
Okay.
And the reason why we selected that, there's so much density right now in Summerlin, and we really looked at from the future the growth of the city, and the Southwest corridor is one of the fastest emerging submarkets in the valley.
Yeah.
With it's high concentration of office and amenities coming in. There's the new stations going in on that Durango corridor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we saw that that area was lacking a lot of new product, great product. So we really saw that as an opportunity, and we're excited. We have 95 homes going in there, so
That's
it's gonna be
awesome.
great.
Yeah, that whole corridor is just
Blowing up.
blasted since like the last crash.
Oh yeah, I mean it's crazy what's happening down
Yeah,
there.
UFC's gone in there, and
Everyone's in there. UFC,
IKEA,
Pepsi,
yeah,
IKEA,
yeah,
and
so
now
I-
us live. So we're excited.
Yeah,
You guys
that's
are
awesome.
excited.
Yeah, that's well, it's a younger crowd down there too.
Yeah, I mean it's a really hip concept. I mean if you want to kind of pop through
Yeah.
the community and hit Magnus,
Yeah, let's do it.
hit communities there.
Okay.
You mentioned something. It's a hip demographic that's going into that Southwest corridor. There's a lot of foodies, great restaurants up and down that Rainbow corridor. As you scroll down, you can kind of see this is a really fresh new concept going into that Southwest. If you keep scrolling down,
Yeah.
this is just a little teaser sneak peek of what's coming.
It's crazy.
This is stuff that
Yeah.
you haven't seen yet in our marketplace.
No.
I like to think this is some things that you kind of see on the island of Mallorca, or it's just
Yeah.
it's a fresh
Exactly.
feel. And I know because we travel a lot of places to kind of really scope beyond our travels. We really want to bring fresh new ideas to our city. We're an international city, so
Yes, you were bringing up a thought process that I wanted to talk about, which is you look at Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and you look at the growth,
Yeah.
and you look at where the city is heading. You look at the housing market,
Yeah.
where that's heading, and we talked a little bit about it. That could Las Vegas become like a Dubai, right? A mini Dubai, right? We talked
Yeah.
about it, right?
Yeah, we did.
Is that it really on the table, or is that something just because look, Dubai's starting to get gambling.
yeah.
They're starting to come into their own. You got a lot of investors going to Dubai.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really, you really think that could happen where you have that huge separation, And what do you think?
It's funny. You say, can it eventually be like Dubai? And the way I look at the market, I've traveled all over the world myself, and I'd like to say that, we're already there. I mean, I think we've even surpassed. I mean, Dubai is it's an international market. We're everywhere in the world. It's a hub for
Yeah.
that side of the world.
Right.
Whether it's Africa, the Middle East, and it's a hub for business.
Right.
Vegas, we're starting to become a little bit of a mecca. There's a ton of businesses that are moving here in so many sectors. That's one. But from a lifestyle, the amenities and the offerings of our city, I definitely think that it's superior in a lot of ways. We have gaming, but I don't know how many people want to go to a concert in Dubai, but I know a lot of people that want to go see the Stones in Vegas
Right.
on a Vegas
Right.
weekend.
Correct.
So we have a very unique offering from a lifestyle perspective that is unique in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just whatever is your fix. If you want to go to the nightlife, the day club, restaurants, shopping, and spa, you can really find whatever you like here in Vegas. And I think that's what makes our city unique. And the world is really starting to kind of catch on. And from a lifestyle perspective, people are starting to catch on that, hey, you can live here 365.
Oh yeah.
And enjoy it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it.
Enjoy the way you want it. So,
Well, yeah, we came.
Go ahead.
We came here about 25 years ago, and it's everybody's like, well, I don't think anybody lives in Vegas, do they? And it was the whole thing,
Yeah.
and we saw, the growth through the construction. I was through the engineering consulting business and all that, and every time we went out with a drill rig, you're drilling for some
Yeah.
kind of new property,
And back then, I remember back in the 90s, Lake Mead Parkway from the 15
Oh,
was
yeah.
like
2-lane road.
Yeah, there was no same. That was a 2-lane road all the way to the lake.
Yep.
And you get off. There was no 215, but it went as far as like if you were lucky, Wigwam.
Yeah.
And everything else was dirt.
Well,
up and down Eastern. So.
Well, that's like I worked on that St. Rose Hospital when they were building it, and to get across the road in the morning on Eastern, you'd sit there for half an hour sometimes trying to get across the road, because that was all the truck traffic going back and forth there on Lake Mead. It was
so it's amazing to see what's happened in our city, and to be a part of that, and just see the growth and the fluctuation, the crash of the market, and just how that's affected.
Yeah.
But we have a long way to go. Our city, we definitely have a long way to go.
So that kind of builds me into this, is that you look at where the market's at today, and you're starting out at 2.8.
Yeah.
Right. Is that the starting price point for luxury, you think, at this point? Because we used to see $1 million, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Now, what type? I mean, because it seemed like a lot of people have money today.
You know what?
It's weird.
It's crazy. I look back. I don't want to date myself, but we're in a different time. I mean, where I grew up, you were either a doctor, an attorney, and like the wealth looked different. In this day and age, and being in the space and real estate and development and just dealing with a lot of high net worth individuals, the wealth looks different now. Absolutely. You walk in and you got that 25-year-old YouTuber, or and
it's true, man.
And it's just everybody's rich in some form or fashion. So how that looks in today's day and age is different.
Oh yeah.
With technology now, it's really changed the game. I mean,
is it sustainable wealth though? Like, let me give you an example. Like, and look, I get it. If you invested into a house, right, you might make a lot of money.
Right.
Say you're a YouTuber, somebody that just
Right.
it's kind of like a get rich quick if you know what you're doing.
Correct.
It is. So, is that a sustainable lifestyle, or is it? You know what I mean? Because you really continue to
here. It's a very philosophical question, and I'll answer this question with. I had this discussion coincidentally yesterday with someone about technology and this new wealth. With regards to that, technology is so innovative. Other industries, construction and other type of industries, for example, it's very consistent. You go in and every day you're doing something. Technology, what you did yesterday is obsolete today, because you wake up, you have to continue innovating. Yeah. That's what technology is. So even on a content level, your content yesterday is yesterday. If you're not putting out new content and staying ahead of the curve, you're not relevant.
Right.
So it's an information kind of world in technology. And if you're not relevant, then you're not monetizing.
Right.
So in order to monetize, you have to stay relevant. So that industry, that's the game for that. So is it sustainable? Well, the market's changing, demographics are changing, what people are watching are changing. I mean, I just got into TikTok. I mean, I'm not a TikToker kind of guy.
Yeah.
But my friend, she's on TikTok, and I'm like, dude, you can learn everything on TikTok. And then I'm down a rabbit hole like for 3 hours on TikTok, and I'm not even watching television. I'm like,
yeah.
So you're seeing the content, and it's really content driven on what's important to you. If, do it yourself, backyard stuff's important, then that's what you're looking at. So the content and how it's aggregated in this day and age, in this high speed era, is so much more refined and hyper focused. That's what makes it unique. And that's actually where there's opportunity, because people are interested in different things. So if you're in a niche of something that you're the croquet master to do this and that, there might be like millions of people that you're the number one of that in the world, and you can easily become the number one content of that. And before, the content was just whatever the big corporate companies want you to see.
Right.
Now it's like, well, what am I interested in?
Right.
I'm on your podcast because I want to know what's the new information in town.
Exactly.
So that's why everybody's watching, because there's like, well, what's he going to talk about next?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the beauty of technology now, and the content we're providing.
So let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about you and take me into who is Steve Escalante, right? Like what? Like you said you were from here. Is that right? Tell me.
I'm born and raised in Southern California.
Okay, so where did you get started on having this as being maybe it's not your end all, but
Yeah.
how did you get to where you're at today?
Dude, it was YouTube, and I was on the side of Home Depot, and here I am.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding, bro.
I was like, man, that's one of those stories. It's like, you got to write a book.
Oh man, I could probably write a book on my life story. But I grew up in Southern California, very humble beginnings, immigrant family. My father moved here from Mexico. My mom's family's from Central America, so pretty much everyone migrated here. I grew up Southern Cal, came out here for college.
Okay, where'd you go to college?
UNLV.
Okay.
And then never left, man. I mean, I got involved in hotel operations and being a part of these massive corporate conglomerates of casinos and seeing the inner workings and the complexity of that. I learned a lot, but I've always learned from every job and experience that I've kind of lived through. I've always, whether when I was in high school, laying down tile and flooring while I was going to school or riding my bike, working at Blockbuster Video at 16,
Blockbuster Video. When is the last time you heard Blockbuster Video?
Man. Dude, I'm dating myself.
Oh my, video.
What,
like
15 years ago?
Videotape or what?
Dude, I mean, I still have I'm sure like a Betamax in boxes in
Really?
storage somewhere. So,
I remember when that came out.
yeah. So, I mean,
Betamax,
you kind of learn, I've kind of picked up on every experience I've had. I've learned whether it's a customer service thing, whether it's just to handle business with people. And, that whole experience all the way through. I mean, working, under Steve Wynn and seeing how he kind of looked at things. And he revolutionized the city. But being under that tutelage, you kind of learn a lot and absorb a lot.
Go ahead.
So you would you consider yourself a developer then?
I'd say on certain days, I can wear the developer hat. If I need to be looking as an investor, I can do that on another given day. But then I'm also very creative. I work with a lot of our creative teams too. I actually went to school for, I wanted to be a film major. I wanted to be a film director. I love the art of the creative side of like telling the story and visually. Being able to tell a story. So
I think that's a very interesting part too, because I think a lot of people, they get into a job, but they want to be the creator of something too. Like you kind of get stuck in that rut of doing the same thing. But it's like, well, I'm going to do my own business. And then if you got a real creative side, it's like, well, I want to do something more. I want something else. And I think there's a lot of people that are seeking that creative side to bring out in yourself, right?
And I think it's I don't want to say staying within your lane, but I think succeeding in anything, it's knowing your strengths and also knowing your weaknesses and how you're going to counter your weaknesses in any given capacity. I mean, I know my strengths and I also know my weaknesses, and your weaknesses, you got to counter that by surrounding yourself around other strong people. A lot of people are fearful to surround themselves around strong people because they're like, it's my knowledge and it's what's in my head. But I honestly look at it as if you can share knowledge and help people grow, that's like the best legacy, because everyone
giving back.
Yeah, you're giving back, but everyone reverts to, hey, I know where I came from. You help me, and it grows. So
that's always the concept that I've worked under is the more you give out, the more you give back.
Isn't it weird how that works?
It does. And once
paying it forward.
And I think people that are, like you were saying, people that would like to start a business or get out there and do something, they're afraid to give anything up. And I think that's the biggest thing you have to overcome to get into a position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. I think everyone's blessed in a certain way with different gifts that make everyone great.
Yeah.
But, part of being blessed is learning how to bless and be a blessing to like your staff, your employees, partnerships and everything. And I think that's kind of my approach. It's worked, knocking on wood. It's done me well to this date, but yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. I definitely believe that, we got to give back and help. And the more you give, the more you get, man.
I think the personal communication, right, is a big component in trying to hire people today.
Yeah.
You guys, probably people don't know this, but when I was in college, what I did is I was working and I was doing serving, did bartending and all these things, right? So what does that do, right? It builds a foundation, and a lot of people that go into sales know how to treat people, right? You were in sales.
Yeah, I was a bartender in college too, so I know.
There you go, right? And so you met Steve. Did you meet Steve Wynn?
I did. I actually had a round table. One thing I really appreciated what he used to do is he would have these round tables with different departments. So you'd be sitting in a round table, kind of like this,
right?
And he would take the time to sit with like the entry level line employee, with the management, with someone from the pool, all different parts of the organization in that round table, and sharing ideas. And he would listen. He's like, "That's a good idea," and then implementing. And it really engaged the staff to know that not only they're a part of a company, but they're a part of a company that's listening, but also implementing these ideas. So I noticed, when you're having 3,000-4,000 employees, you kind of see that as a whole. It's like, wow, that's why everyone's excited to come into work and have a little bit more pride in the place they work. And for me, that stuck out, and that's something that, stuck out with me. So everything I do, I really want to be prideful in what I do, listen to the staff, and really try to get them excited and be proud of what they're doing. Because if I'm fired up,
that's awesome.
They're fired up, right?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about this, your website. So you got LiVV Homes.
Yep.
Right. And so when you have somebody come in, let's talk about some of the things that you offer that other, let's say, builders don't offer, right? Let's talk about that.
So, you know what? We really wanted to be disruptive and kind of turn the market upside down. And what that means for us is, the construction industry, the way things are done and sold, it's just so antiquated in how it's being done. Because it's been done the same way the last 50 years. And even more so with technology. You see the evolution of technology, phones, information. Like, why are things being done the same way? From the quality to how the consumers engage, just the whole experience. And we said, you know what? We want to do something different. Not only the look and feel, the quality, how can we create value to the consumer in this price point that we're rolling this out? And for us, value goes far beyond just like the material. It's the whole package. It's the design, it's the material, it's the technology, it's the experience, it's how you're engaging in the experience. So we took all of these pillars, and this is what LiVV Home embodies. This is what it represents. And to start off, it's like, okay, well, let's start off with how do we get at that $10-15 million home feel and standardize it in a way where we can offer it at a set price. And when you walk into the home, you don't feel like you're walking into a $3 million home. You walk in and you're like, wow, this is what I normally see in that $100 million Beverly Hills house.
Right.
How can I create that feel at that price point? So that's what the challenge was. And we said, okay, well, let's start with the design.
Right.
We have an international design team, and it's comprised of individuals from Paris office, the Mediterranean, the Middle East and Dubai, here in the States, and say, how can we create a collaboration to create something fresh and new? Because as you look at design across the country, here in the States especially, it's starting to get stale. You look at these production builders, for example, and they're taking the same cookie cutter footprint, putting it in every market. You go in, you select a floor plan or a model, and then you go in with no rhyme or reason to an option selection. And then before you know it, you thought you're at this price, and next thing you know, you're $1 million above where you thought you were going to be.
Right.
That's just how it's been done.
Yeah.
Right.
And we said, you know what? Let's take a different approach. Let's offer something, the experience that's unique. Let's offer a transparent experience that they upfront see their pricing and they can make their selections upfront of what options they want. But we wanted to do it in a way that right out of the gate, the experience as a standard option, it's already at a custom level. So you're already starting at a much more elevated experience. So level 5 finish, thermally broken window systems with like pocket door, 10-foot pocket, where most builders are giving you 7-foot slider.
Wow. We
have a 10-foot pocket. This is standard. Linear returns. I mean, you're going into like custom homes and you see apartment AC returns. It's like, what the heck? I'm spending $4, $5, $6 million bucks.
Yeah.
hollow corridors. I mean, it's just we're offering solid corridors. So all of these details, we said, okay, we're going to start off at custom at a start base. Wolf, Sub-Zero, all of that. Then what options can we offer that's that wow factor? So the interior design team, they came in and they came up with 3 unique concepts. And, you know, on the website, you'll see it's a Euro chic, which is a very European. It's got like, I'd like to say it's like Monaco across with the detail of Dubai. It feels like a hospitality feel. You know, like you go to the Edition in West Hollywood, you kind of see these elements. It's like very, very high luxury kind of hotel, but it's got a little bit of a European flair. The other is a natural boho. They came up with that concept. That concept, all the walls, everything there's a curvature to it, very soft, flowing. It just has a flow to it.
Right.
And it's like Tulum meets the Hamptons. There's wood paneling options where it's soft, but it's organic. And that's, in the same community, that's 2 completely different sides of the spectrum.
Right.
And then we said, okay, well, there's people that want modern. So what's our modern interpretation? So we came up with our modern flair, we're calling it. And that, when you kind of look at some of the stuff we're putting out, I'd like to say it's like Tokyo meets Miami.
Oh, wow.
It's got a fresh feel. You have some with pop colors that pop through. And that's the look and feel that now in one community, you're not stuck with like, oh, it's just modern, so I got to live here. In that community, you can be modern. If you're very sophisticated and like trim and certain things, you have that. If you're just free-flowing and you're organic and this is what I want, clean, then you have that natural boho. It's like bohemian.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to create in one community. That's never been done. Because typically it's a standard plan, you know, but
with a few
structurally the plan changes based on the structural. Like no builder's doing that. That's something you find a very high-end custom where like from the ground up, it has a theme, it's got a design, all of that.
Cool.
So that's really cool with what we're doing. But the last layers that we're adding on to that is the sustainable. So these are net zero homes. So when you plug in the solar and everything, these homes, the idea is to have no power bill, so it's sustaining your life, but it's also going to sustain your health with the technology that we're implementing. There's going to be sensors throughout. This home's going to have a brain. So the home that you're living in, it's actually going to evolve the more you live in it. So think of the home, when you're buying these live homes, it's like your iPhone. It's going to have a certain functionality, but a year from now, there's a new update that now the phone does something else. The home's going to do the same. Now, like, you know, in a year from now, you might be able to talk to your home. They're working on advanced technology. Our technology arm that's out of Germany, they're already working on, they're forward thinking on new technology that they're going to be dropping these things into the home. And now your home, you're going to be able to like, hey, Liv, turn on the AC and please do this and that. And the home's actually going to be able to respond to you accordingly, like Alexa and Siri versus, hey, just text so-and-so. No, it's like, hey, what's the power consumption? How much do I have in storage? Eventually, we're going to get to that. The technology they're working on that because this is something that no one's ever done before.
Right.
There's a lot of great technology, but who's really putting that skeleton together, bringing that technology under one roof and executing in the home? I mean, you have a Ring doorbell, you have low voltage, but then you got to hire someone to plug that in, plug this in. You have 20 apps on your phone.
Right.
But why not have one home solution that implements everything you can think of and beyond?
Right.
And that's what LiV is, and that's what we're doing, and it's our technology that our proprietary technology that's being implemented, and it's exciting. It's exciting what's happening, and we're going to be the trailblazers for this. We're rolling this out here in Nevada, these 2 communities, the first 2 prototypes, but the goal and the end all is to scale this across the country and eventually across the world.
That's really cool. I think I don't know that people actually consider our economics and our standard of living. Everything is engineered in this world.
Yeah.
And once we get past these stops, I think we're moving into a whole new world. I mean, Yeah, I'm 57, so I mean, I've seen, you know, before cell phones
Right.
and all that other stuff, and you know, and I think when people can let go of the past and look at the engineering that's behind what's going into the future, I think I think we're gonna see some incredible things, like the stuff that you're talking about. My background is actually engineering.
Wow.
And the stuff that you're talking about is just like, it's blowing me away, especially for the housing industry, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely different for sure.
Yeah. And
You brought up a good point, and it's something that I always try to bring people back. I'm kind of a history guy. I love history.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, when you look back at history, you mentioned something that kind of stuck out. You were talking about cell phones, the cell phones changing.
yeah.
And you asked a question about luxury,
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm. If you guys remember, not too long ago, and I'm not going to date myself, but having the cell phone, a brick phone,
Yeah.
okay? Who had that back in the day when they rolled out? The uber wealthy had a helicopter, and you got a cell phone.
You got to, that thing was like
That was
huge.
luxury back then.
Well, yeah, you had it in your car, right?
You had it in your
that
car.
back, right?
That was
Yeah.
luxury.
Yeah.
But if you look at history, and what has history told us? Luxury, that was considered luxury. Now, the 6-year-old kid on the corner walking to school's got a cell phone. Everybody's got a cell phone.
Right.
So luxury is caught up with the society and the masses.
Right.
In the same way, we're forward thinking as well. And you know, as history has taught us, right now, LiVV Homes, yeah, maybe it is a luxury product, but our vision for LiVV is going to be for everybody. Everyone's going to live in a LiVV home. That's our dream, is eventually everyone, not just the luxury, eventually everyone. And that's the roadmap we're looking at. Yeah, right now it's the 3 to 5 million and whatnot, and might change in different markets. But the future that we're seeing with sustainable and is everyone should have the opportunity to have this. And eventually we're going to get there, as you know, the supply chain issues, you know, being vertically integrated and sourcing, we're going to be able to refine this to be able to deliver this. And it's what everybody does. I mean, look at Tesla, for example. They came out with the Model S, $150,000. Who can afford that? Not your blue collar everybody.
No.
But now they refine their process, and what has technology and history taught us? Hey, now they're ready for the Model 3. They've refined their processes. Now they can deploy something that's affordable for the masses, because their long-term vision, when we were at Tesla's office, this was years ago when we were talking about how we're working together and partnering with them. First thing we walked in was their mission statement, is to accelerate the world's towards to being sustainable. That's their vision, is to how can we accelerate the world. And when we walked in, and I remember Philippe walked in and said, hey, this is how we're going to do it. One community at a time. That's how we're going to do it. And that's what LiVV is. It's embodying that idea, taking someone's, you know, mission idea, but that's only one piece of a bigger puzzle. So we're also a piece of a much bigger puzzle, but you got to take that first step, and you got to lead by example. So
I want to go ahead.
I think you know, you're bringing Tesla in. Well, Tesla was all about free energy,
Yeah.
right? So it's, you know, that it's
free
I
energy, free speech now, right?
yeah, right.
Twitter.
Right. Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Twitter, yeah.
I mean,
But no, I mean, that was his whole thing, because he had Tesla had the fiber optics down back in the 1800s,
Right.
So,
But you look at. So let's talk a little bit about your guys' price range. So you talked about luxury 2.8, right? That's a starting and set on your website. What about for people out there that don't meet the cut? Right. I mean, so the reason I'm bringing this up is to start off and say, well, that's probably I wouldn't say it's the elite, but you got to be, you know, I'm saying the top probably 20% of income wage earning.
It is a higher end product right now in our city. But, you know, I think we mentioned, you know, last time we had the conversation is, you know, you got to also understand the people that are moving into our city now are coming from a different, just a different market, where, you know, what 2.8 million gets you, let's say in California, could be like a 1,500, 2,000 square foot house in the middle of Santa Monica, you know, a small house, where 2.8 here is getting you almost 4,000 square feet or 6,000, or, you know, you're living in a country club gated, and it's just like, wow. And I had the conversation with someone today. They couldn't believe, oh my gosh, for less than $6 million, they're coming from the Bay Area, and they just we just can't believe what we're getting here for our money.
They're actually
They can't believe
shocked
it.
that it's that cheap.
Well, it's that, and then when you get into the state tax,
I
and you
see.
start factoring all of these things, they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? The amount of value that I'm getting, I'm not paying state tax. And again, it depends on what bracket you're in. But honestly, I mean, I know engineers in the Bay in California, and they're making whatever 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, and they're like still living modest lifestyle because the cost of living is changed in their marketplace.
Yeah.
And the thing is here we don't have the same type of economy here yet. I mean, we're predominantly tourist driven, and tourism is kind of our main, but that's changing fast.
Well, I mean, if you think about it too, back when we first got here in the 90s or so, really the only luxury home product we had here was Spanish Trails, right?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, you made it to Spanish Trails back then. You're like, dude,
You're on top. Yeah.
I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
Or the Las Vegas Country Club.
Right.
That's like
Yeah,
even before
that
then.
on
You're like,
DI,
okay,
Yeah.
I'm like the movie in Casino or something.
What would you say the percentage of people actually buy your homes that actually get a mortgage?
It's interesting. Today I was in a meeting with someone, and I was asking that question. I said, "Oh, do you want to go cash or finance?"
Uh-huh.
And the money, they were like, "Well, we want to use other people's money still," and they had the wherewithal to do it. It's just cash is king, but if you can leverage properly, depending on your economic situation,
Right.
Whatever your CPA directs, and everyone has a different makeup and a different end all, and on the reason why they're moving to Nevada to take residency. But it's an interesting question. I definitely think that I ask these questions. Surprisingly, a lot of people are getting mortgages in that jumbo, and a lot of the wealth is still utilizing those vehicles to kind of maximize, their
It's a
their
debt
legacy.
society. Right?
Yeah.
It's a debt society.
Let's say this. So I want to go over some statistics. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit the housing market.
Yeah.
So we see it softening a little bit. You have people that say the consumer confidence has dropped 4.7% just overall in the nation as far as housing. 76% say it's a bad time to buy a house. Right. 73% say expect mortgage rates to climb.
Right.
Even into next year. You got the Fed raising monetary policy, or the Fed's fund rate maybe another 2 times
Right.
heading into 2023. Aggressive monetary policy.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to impact your market?
I'd like to say everything impacts the market. I'm going to start off with that. But, it's really going to impact you if you're playing in the market. What ends up happening is, I'm going to go back to conversations I have had with people in the 90s and the 2000s. And people are like, oh, is this a good time to buy? It happened in the early 2000s. People are like, oh, it's a good time, market's going up, or rates. You got to remember, back in the 80s, I remember rates in the 80s, they were in the teens, man. People were paying 14, 16% mortgages.
Yeah, but here's
we
the-
don't realize that. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was a different time. It was stock market. There wasn't tech. The industry was different. But in this day and age, too, if you're like, well, when's a good time to buy? At least in our market, I tell people, like, dude, anytime. Why? Because if you're a long-term player, it's better to be in the game than be out of the game.
I got
If
you.
you're not in the game at all, then talk to me in 10 years, and I'll say, hey, did you buy it back in 2022? Because we're now in 2032. You would have been like, oh, shoot, I should have bought in 2022. Now it's 20. I can go to the
100%.
same people 10 years before, back in 2012, and have the same question. So some people are either going to always be in the game, or they'll just never get in the game. And it's like, what side of the fence do you want to be in? Because if you're in the game, you're always going to play to win, but it's part of just riding the wave. It's knowing when to sell, knowing when to hold. But if you're long term, yeah, it's going to fluctuate. But if
So you got a lot of people that time that out.
Yeah.
Right? They're always like, oh, I want to get in on the dip. Look, you're not playing stocks, right? You can't. There's no way to predict a housing market bubble or crash. You can see some signs. But you look at this economy and you look at where we're at here. Las Vegas was number 3.
Yeah.
It seems like we're doing well economically, right? People are still working and people making money. I just feel that the home affordability, and the average buyer out there that's trying to buy into a house is seeing that opportunity diminish, just because I feel that discouragement.
Well, I think
That's what I feel.
Yeah, and I think the ones that are really getting hit right now is like these kids that are starting out.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter's a friend of my daughter's. He was looking at a place to rent, and it was $2,000 just to rent, just to get in the game, and just to get a place of his own. So when it goes to like our market, they've been trying to get in to these houses, and they're going against 20 other people or whatever, you know. And I think the people that are going to affect the most are going to be the young people trying to get into the market.
Yeah, but you know what? I'd say yes, and I also would say no, because you have these young people, and again, we're in a different time, you know, where younger people are making a lot more money than they were back when we grew up.
That's true.
And the thing is I really feel strongly that it's about educating our youth. I'm really big on that, because, you know, like they don't know, like, where do I start? I mean, we came up from a different, if you kind of look at the 50s, 60s, 70s, the whole like unit of like what the house looked like was completely different.
Yeah.
Dad went to work, mom was at home baking pies, and then you're saving.
That's the key word right there. You said mom was at home.
Mom was at home.
Yeah, you only needed one income.
You needed one income. Mom's home, holding down the fort. The kids you got to do good in school, and it's like everyone's saving. You get that first home.
Yep.
And then in 30 years, you pay off the mortgage. You got the house for the grandkids and this. But that's what we learned growing up. But as things starting to change in the 70s. Yeah. Like it was a totally different, time.
Stagflation.
And it's just,
right now.
And there was different movements happening. And even before the 60s, I think even World War II, the dynamic started to change, because we were in war, men were at war, so women now had to work. So all of this started to change the dynamic of what the home front looked like, right? And that started to change our whole economy and how we start looking at everything, the home. And it's just, that really kind of just started to have a ripple effect, where now it's just, we're in a different time, and everybody's making money. It's men, it's women, it's kids. So it's like, okay, so now what do we do? What are we doing with that? And how does that affect the housing market?
I think education. In order for any economy to grow, like you said, it's education, and so the kids have to be educated coming up. The ones that are coming up now, because I think our education system sucks. In fact, I know it sucks here in Las Vegas because my kids all grew up in it, and my wife was.
Why is it so bad though? Like what makes Las Vegas so bad?
They don't teach, and I don't know that they have the heart to teach. And growing up, I grew up in a little. Kind of a cow town up in Oregon, and it was just.
Is there too much distraction or something? Is that what it is, or there's just?
I think it's the, from what I've seen, and my kids have gone through. It's the quality of teachers that we have here, and I don't know if they're held to a standard. I don't know that they're given, the ability to teach, so the student can, because if the teacher doesn't teach, the student doesn't learn, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd say yes and no. I think, going back to what I was talking about, the evolution through technology, I think the education system currently is flawed because it's also antiquated. Because they're trying to stay within the same way that it was done 50, 60 years ago. You go in the class and this. I've seen with my own eyes, because my kids are also in the school system, and then I made a choice with my son. He was into gaming and computer technology, and that was his passion. But like, he's sitting 8 hours, like, how do I put this kid in an environment where he's going to thrive quickly now versus he's got to go through this trajectory of high school, college, and this, and then he's going to start learning. How do I get him to learn now? So, and I think there's these, STEAM programs, these magnet programs that specialize in whatever, culinary, computer science that we have, but parents, again, it's the education, don't know that that's available for them. So I put my son in that, and he was learning kind of a craft in programming and this, that if he was in a regular school, he would never learn that.
Right.
So how do we accelerate that? Because technology is advanced so much. And the thing is, you know, I remember growing up, when you're doing a report on, you know, the Amazon River, you go to your file cabinet and go to the encyclopedia,
Right.
and you hope to God that there's an Amazon something in the encyclopedia, because if not, you're screwed.
You go back to the Dewey Decimal
Yeah, then you got to go to the library. Mom, can you take me to the library, because I got to get a book, because it's not in the encyclopedias that you bought from the traveling salesman that sold this thing to you, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
so the thing is, nowadays they're trying to teach where you have all this technology. We're on YouTube and this. You have all this knowledge. Like you can go and say, "Hey, brain surgery, something," and look it up,
yeah.
and you could probably hotwire a car if you want to, just because you typed it in. Like it's so advanced, and the kids are learning at a much faster pace.
Oh, yeah.
So the amount of information and the content is not keeping up with that. And how do we stay on top of that?
I was going to say this. So I think there's a lot, and I agree with what your comments are, but there's a lot of kids that are millennials are the number one.
Yeah.
I would say the genre of people right now buying a home, right? They're in that 33 age, you know,
Yeah.
30,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit less, 28 to 33. So the mindset that they have is completely different though. And I don't know how old you are, but for me, it's like I went to work. It was like my mindset was you got to go to school, work hard.
Yeah.
Things aren't entitled to you. You don't have entitlement. And I'm not saying that all of them feel that way, but think about it. You grow up with all you know is rates are so low, right? They're 3 to 5% for the most of your life. That's all you know. And then you have things at your fingertips, like all the computers and technology you can think of. And then there's multiple streams of ways to make money and make fast money.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe a contribution of, like, for instance, if you ask somebody, hey, buying a house, is that a wise investment for you? Right? Because we talk about housing.
It's not, maybe it's not important to some of them. And, you know, it's weird because it's like, you know, on a weekend or this, I mean, I enjoy coming home, get the glass of wine, throwing the barbecue, inviting some friends over and hanging out. But in this day, you know, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm looking forward to that weekend, and you have the little garden or the pool or whatnot. But in this day and age, you tell the kids, it's like, hey, you want the barbecue? And you're going to have, they're like, no, I'll just Uber eat it. And like what's important for us might not be important for them. That having certain elements in the home is not the same in the millennial mindset, because they're not putting as much importance. They may want more garage. Why? Because they'd rather have 10 cars than to have a barbecue and
it's just
a wine cellar.
Exactly.
Like they're like, that's just not important to me. You know,
a game room or
you know,
something,
exactly. So the mindset's changed with millennials, and part of that, I think developers as a whole, like builders, like what do you build? Like what do you build? Because
that's the question.
That's the
right?
key, because it's like,
Yeah.
and that's why even with LiVV Homes, we came up with plans that are so flexible that can adhere to that millennial, that you want the sauna, the media room, and this, but you can have that family with the next gen, you know. So it has to be a flexible plan, because how the home looks is different now. I mean, the home is now the school.
That's the number one, I would say.
office.
The home is now your office.
Yeah.
The home is the place where, you know, it's your workshop. Like, so the home is changed.
Yeah.
And if we don't, you know, stay ahead of the curve with that, you know, we all are obsolete as a builder, you know, and before you know it, you know, it's going to affect.
And in another case, you know, you're going to have technology is going to take. It's already happening, like with McDonald's or whatever the case. You know, they have machines taking care of it. So this blue collar workforce may get depleted down to a point where they're going to have to do something from their home or figure out, you know,
one thing
how to make.
One thing that history is as I mean, it taught me, but I've learned, is eventually it comes full circle.
Right.
And as much as you want to put technology, you know, with Live, for example, it's personalized living. It's powered by AI, but personalized. I do think that going back and having a personalized approach, like reaching out and touching something, people aren't talking anymore. No. And you'd be surprised how much people miss that. in engagement.
Do
and
they
whatnot.
really,
Oh
huh?
yeah, people miss that. I miss it. I mean, I'm cool with text, but man, I want to hear that voice. I want to touch
in the
that
presence,
hand. I
yeah.
want to be in the presence of a conversation. This kind of stuff's I mean, we could have done this, over a phone, but I prefer to, pop a beer and hang out with you guys and have a conversation, because that's what's missing. And that's like with LiVV Homes, how we're engaging with the consumer. Yeah, you can build your own home, but we always wanted to make sure we put that personalized approach of having an interaction engagement with a human being, because at the end of the day, it's part of the human experience is to interact.
Yeah. I got a question for both of you. So I want to talk about this. So you look at this market, this housing market in Las Vegas. Where do you guys think it's headed? I mean, because look, the reason I bring this up is a lot of people are sketchy. There's water problems. We're running out of land a little bit. Prices of homes are going crazy. So, I mean, do you feel like we're going to start to have a real issue in Las Vegas with the housing market? Where do you think it's going to head moving in the next few months?
I don't I don't know about you, but I see the growth that is going north of the 215 right now and up towards Apex. I mean, Apex was a thing back in the mid 2000s, right? And so, as far as water goes, I don't think water is going to be an issue, because almost 95% of that water from Lake Mead goes to San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
I think it's 90 or 90.
It's a high percentage, but
high
we sell a lot of water to California.
So is that going to get replenished? Like, I mean, if we shut it down, I mean, will the Rockies and the water start to flow back into fill up Lake Mead again, or is it going to take years to do that?
Well, I believe we've got that Spring Mountain River that runs from.
Yeah, we have an aquifer running under the valley. A lot of people don't realize and know that. I mean, we have water, but the thing is are we tapping into all our resources? And one thing you got to learn with.
So there's reserve water we don't know about.
Look, the way again going back at history, I'm a history guy.
I love history. Yeah.
Look at the U.S.
And water is power.
So the U.S. a lot of people don't realize as a country, we're probably the wealthiest in oil in everywhere in the world. A lot of people don't realize that. And we're actually a natural resource of water and food. We're one of the biggest in the world for food. We provide grain and things to export to most of the world. And that's, people don't realize that between us and China, like, we shut off the food supply. Everybody's screwed.
So why are they making such a big difference about this?
But again, going back to the natural resources and oil we have, but we're tapping in and getting oil from the Middle East and this, because we're keeping our natural resources. So we're going to go and buy it and spend the money there, and because we know we have it. And in the same way with water, it's the same way. We're kind of a micro, version of that. It's like, okay, we're natural in a lot of resources here in Nevada, but we're going to make money as much as we can, and then when we don't need it, then we have. I mean, and again, I'd hate to say that, but that's what makes the world go round is money, and it's political, and that's just the nature of the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you deal with a lot of people too that are like that higher. People that. I mean, you're buying a $2.8 million home. You probably have a lot of connections with things, right? I mean, you probably hear a lot of stuff that.
I hear some things. I hear some chatter.
Some
some cooler talk and hallway chatter right? From time to time.
So people want to know, like, why Las Vegas? Like, what do you think? What's the best about Las Vegas, for your opinion?
I mean, I think it probably has one of the best lifestyles in the world. I've gone to a lot of places, and
really,
and it's a few places in the world where you have the best food, best shopping, best experience of show, entertainment, golf. We have like more golf courses here. That's the best of the best. Service is amazing, and we're so close to so much natural resource. I mean, you take a couple-hour drive and you're like at Zion, some of the most breathtaking, natural parks in the world that people travel all over the world to see. Lake Mead we have here. I mean, we're a 45-minute flight to SoCal, and you're on the beach. I mean, I took a drive. I took my daughter on a drive a couple nights ago, and it was hot. It was getting hot. And I was like, let's go on a drive. And we drove up to Mount Charleston. And it was so much cooler. It was still snow cap. I was able to see the stars, and it was just nice. And I was like, you know how long it took me? I kind of got lost with regards to I'm not used to the building. But that exit going up to Mount Charleston, I remember was just like the last exit. Yeah. I pop off, and it's like a community, and I'm like, Sky Canyon's there, and I'm like, whoa, I don't recognize this. It's changed. It's blown my mind. But then literally from Summerlin to there, it took me 20, 25 minutes, and I'm up in the mountains. 25 minutes. Yep. And I'm like, wow, like the access is so close. We get so caught up in the day-to-day. Yeah. We forget that, like, wow, we have so much. There's so many options that we have.
Accessible.
And that's and the thing is, not everybody knows that, and that's what we're kind of that little sleeper. I've been kind of stressing that, we're the best undervalued market on the West Coast, and
but that's strongly changing, isn't it?
It's changing, but still, it's going to be like that for a while. I mean, we're not at $3,000 a square foot like these other supermarkets.
And I think we're only. I mean, if you look at the entire valley, I think we're only at probably 40 to 50% built out.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a long ways to go, and we're on an island. Yeah, and there's definitely a long ways to go for sure.
All right, so you guys have. Let's kind of wrap this up because I know you got to go.
I'm good.
Yeah, I want to say a couple things. So, Doug is a inspector, Las Vegas Home Inspections. So, Doug, talk us a little bit about what you're seeing with people out there in the market. Kind of give us a take about how the market's. I don't know if it's shifting, but is it softening? And you're still seeing the same activity as far as inspections?
I'm seeing the same activity. I haven't seen anything slowed down yet.
Really?
What I have been seeing, though, is I've been seeing a lot more larger homes go up. I just got a call for an 11,000 square foot home the other day. I couldn't do it, but I got.
As a scope of work right there, that as you go up in size, then you're going to charge that person a little bit more money. Is that right? I mean, is that what typically happens? Because it's a lot of it's the size of the scope of work, right?
Yeah, and if you look at it, you're looking at the system. So basically, you might have 6 air conditioning units, and you might have 4 AC panels. Like I did one up in McDonald Ranch. It was a 4-car, or 6-car, 4-car RV garage, and it had like a ton of. I don't even remember how many electrical panels it had. It had like 5, maybe 4, 5, 6, and it had there was air conditioning units. I think there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there was like 5 air conditioning units. So when I look at something, I'm looking at the functionality of what it is that is supplying that house with whatever it needs, right? So, or either that or looking at the functionality of a roof, whether it be a TPO membrane roof or whether it be a tile roof or a cement tile roof or an asphalt shingle roof, there's different things to look at. So sometimes the scope gets more involved in what it is that I look at. And of course the price goes up a little bit because obviously you're in a longer period of time looking at what the components of the house are.
I have a question for him. Let's
do it.
Interesting. What my first question is, how long you been doing the inspections?
I got my license in 20.
Okay, so you've been doing it for a little
2000.
bit. So you've done a lot of different inspections of different year model homes.
Yeah.
In your opinion, since you've been doing it,
right?
Have you found, I guess, what year is the better built homes? Like you found, like, wow, these homes maybe in this pocket built in the 90s. I find are better versus this one built in 97 or 2000.
You're talking about the contracting part of it, like as far as the quality of the work?
The quality of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what have you found? Have you been like, wow, I'm starting to find a pattern here?
What's interesting is I think the late 90s, that's why I bought a 95.
Right.
I bought a house, it was America West home.
Yep.
Built in 95. I like the way they're pretty solid homes.
Yeah. The code was totally different back then.
Code was totally different. And when we got into...
Sorry if I'm nerding out on this.
No, it's all good. That's what I like to hear.
That's cool.
Go ahead.
And but what I did find was that they were going up so fast in like the early 2000s, and it was there was electrical issues,
right,
and it wasn't the attention to detail
right
in the house. And actually the attention to detail was, I would say, probably some of the better homes are in the 90s. And then as you got out of the 2000s, like you say, you got into the 2011 era, the builders aren't putting like 30 homes in a phase and trying to sell those 30 homes, trying to complete those 30 homes. They're selling them as they go, I think.
Are they worried more about mass production versus just individual?
In the
is that what
in the early 2000s?
Right.
It was all about mass productions and lotteries, and everybody getting in there to get a home because they
just had to build them as fast. I remember people would move into their homes. I mean, when I got into real estate in the early 2000s, I think it was 2001.
Yeah.
And I remember that spike, and I remember I had clients. You're so busy in the lottery, and you're closing 30 deals a month or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And at the time, you'd be delivering a home, and like the toilet is not even like put in right.
Yeah.
Right.
The sink. I'm not going to name builders, but you turn the water on, it's not even like it goes into like a wall, not even plugged into like plumbing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
There was a lot of
I learned in that era. People call me crazy, but I always recommend when people are buying a new home, get a home inspection. I used to tell them back in the day when in the high production, I was like, well, yeah, but it's a new home. And I'm like, well, it's worth the $250 or $300 back then that you're paying for a home inspection for whatever, that 1,500 square foot house.
Yeah.
It's worth it because you can say, oh, well, this is not working. These outlets don't work. Because as a consumer, you're that first time home buyer. Like, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what to ask for.
Yeah.
Well, then, along with that, what I try to do is, if the minute they tell me they're a first-time home buyer, what I try to do is educate them.
Right.
Because not only do I inspect them and have probably done over 15,000 homes, but I've also bought like 8 homes since I've been here in the Valley. So, and they're all different eras, and ages and whatnot. And so what I can do is I can educate, and since my background is actually in soils, I kind of know where houses, foundations and what they've done as far as grading and all that kind of stuff.
You're like a geotech guy.
Yeah.
There you go, man. That's
See, man,
awesome.
that's where you're going to have he's going to check out your next spot.
That was my next question. Hold on. My next question, my lead up question to the last question is, have you ever inspected a net zero home yet?
No, I haven't.
And
the closest I've come is this.
Explain what a net zero home is, because people might not know what that is.
So net. Go ahead.
It was all LEED before.
Yeah. So
green.
LEED standards was let's say a standard, a point system, typically in commercial, but it's a more sustainable way of building. Mm-hmm. So there's certain things that you have to do through the process and to achieve that LEED certification.
Okay.
The Department of Energy rolled out a new program that we adopted as a builder, as in the custom home space. At the time was called the Net Zero Challenge Home Program. Uh-huh. And it was above LEED with regards to, it was a little bit more rigorous of the different standards, like the slab has a slab insulation, so that way there's no moisture that gets into the slab. At certain stages of the house, they do a reverse negative pressure on it, smoke it, so they can see if there's leaks. So it's thermally it's contained. Uh-huh. The ambient air stays cool, so it's like a thermos that's sealed, right?
Right.
So all of this is just some of the things that make up part of that program. And what the goal is to have a higher performing home with better quality, better material, more sustainable, that when you add solar to it, you can basically have it at a net zero. The house with what you're producing is sustaining itself, and that's net zero. And the reason I ask that is I don't even think when you're training, like when you're getting your certificate, I don't think that's even a discussion yet. It's and that's where I know where we're at. We're so far ahead. Okay, we're building a product that appraisers, like if we were to build net zero homes and that very entry level, and you're doing a loan, your debt to income ratio is different in like our home than a regular home. So if you do a KB home that's 2,000 square feet, and we're a net zero home at 2,000 square feet. Well, the KB home, you got your gas, power, and everything. And let's say your power bill is $800 a month in the summer, where ours, you're running at a zero power bill. So your buying power is different because your debt to income is different, because to live in this home, your dollar goes a little farther because you're not spending that money.
Yeah, you're not losing that $800.
So how are appraisers looking at it? How are inspectors looking at it? And the thing is the deeper discussion that, you know, I talked to someone in the association. How do we bring in these minds to, I don't want to say come up with a solution, but to educate and to also come up with solutions for lenders, for appraisers, for inspectors. So when you come into one of our homes on a custom level, you know what you're getting into. You know what you're looking for. You know, this is a net zero home. Maybe I need to check things differently.
Yeah.
The solar differently. I need to check the insulation different. So all of these things, we're not there yet, but you know, I'd love to partner with inspectors and say, hey, this guy's got a net zero certification inspector. For this home, you need to call this type of home inspector.
Right. No, I could see where that would definitely be an advantage, because I mean, you go into a standard home, you know, and you go in and you look at these framing, safe framing, for example, you know, and just the framing in it is going to be a whole lot different, I think, in your net zero.
We're doing steel stub framing.
I figured you probably would be.
So it's like a whole different process.
Yeah, and it doesn't react the same as what a wood would. And no. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's a great idea that you come in and you say, okay, so you're not going to use any gas. There is no gas.
We're gonna have gas because, you know, I was a big supporter of that because my tortillas have to be on gas. I'm just kidding. Right? But no, you know what? You know, you got to have the gas stuff. You know, you got to have that gas barbecue, the fire pit. So again, on a luxury product, it's something that's there. It's an offering. You know, you want your wolf burners and whatnot. It's different, you know. I mean, if you're into cooking, you know, you don't, you know.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want
the pasta doesn't boil the same on electric, right?
Yeah, that's
But it's true though. The tortillas are not as good.
They're not, man,
on electric as they are on gas.
What else you got to say about this?
Got to see the sizzle. Right?
I'm just saying, you got to see the sizzle. I'm all about the sizzle.
That's right, baby. All right, so Doug, let's say this, man. Let's wrap it up because we got to go. First off, inspections. What are you seeing out there? You know, obviously, if somebody, you know, we'll have all of Doug's contact information. Home inspections, Las Vegas home inspections. So tell us, you know, anything else you want to add to what we talked about?
Like I was saying, you know, there's a lot of first time home buyers out there that are trying to get into the market. I think there's a lot of homes right now that are you're seeing I'm seeing a lot of people getting into the used to be the $200,000 range. Now it's the $350,000 range.
Is that a lot premium for you? $200,000, right?
Hey, hold on. Let me chew on my tortilla. I'm not answering that question.
Yeah, right. And so there's a big fight from what I see. There's a big fight for the $350,000 range right now, and there's and the other thing I'm seeing too is a lot of seniors up in the Anthem area, you know, like they're buying into the they're either coming in from out of state. A lot of them are coming in from out of state, and I'm sure you've seen it, but they're coming up into Anthem, and they the Sun City Anthem, and I don't do as many up in Del Webb, but I'm seeing a lot up in Sun City Anthem, and then like I said, the big homes, I did one up in McDonald Highlands, and they were right at the top of the hill there, and they had just a phenomenal house. I think it was probably like a $6, $7, $8 million house. I don't even know, but it was you know, like 10,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet, something like that. But it was just a phenomenal view on the house. But there's been a few of them that it's nothing for. I talked to a lender friend of mine. It's nothing for $1,000, $2,000 appraisal to come through anymore.
Yeah,
where it used to be like $450, $500, $600. for an appraisal.
No, it's just increased.
Yeah, it's just, she says on a daily basis, they're mostly $1,000 appraisals. And she goes, it's nothing for these $2 million homes to come through.
You know what? It's crazy. I was, everything's gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when like a Thrifty's ice cream was like a quarter.
Hey, first off, what's Thrifty's, right?
Okay, yeah.
What's Thrifty's?
I saw one over here in Henderson,
Yeah.
you know, on Pecos.
Pecos.
I walked in there and I was like, oh man, it's Thrifty's. It reminds me of my, you know, nostalgia. And I walked in and I was like, yeah, I'll have a scoop. It was like, I don't know, $3-4
For one scoop?
Yep.
Yeah, for a scoop.
You know, it's crazy. It's like, I remember doing that too, Thrifty's. And then we have to shop at Pick and Save sometimes.
Yeah,
man.
I
You just
remember.
go in there. It's like the new dollar store. It's like Pick and Save was the old dollar store, you know? You go in there and it's like...
Dude, I was rocking. I used to be like back to school. It's like Montgomery Ward. It's like I'm like people are like, what is that? I'm like, dude, if you know, you know.
Yeah, right?
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
So...
Well, hell, and now it's Sears, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
what's
mean-
Sears?
You know, life has changed for sure. Technology.
So I want to end the show, guys. I'm going to say check out LiVV Homes, and I want to say thank you so much for Steve Escalante coming on. And Steve, you know what? If somebody wanted to reach out to you, we're going to have all your contact information. What's the best way for somebody to get started if they see this video?
If they see that, you know, definitely go to LiVV.com, you know, and they can go in. They can schedule a call right on the website. We have an amazing sales team that'll walk you through the whole process, guide you, pick your lot, and just see what the whole
nice.
LiVV experience is all about. I mean, we're all about it. So,
So these people, just one last thing is, these people are really looking for not the traditional cookie cutter style custom home, right?
This is for that discerning client that wants luxury and it's important to them. It's not the cookie cutter, because within one community, luxury looks different to everybody.
100%.
And we wanted to create a product that is like, you know, you go into a luxury store and, you know, you gravitate to what's important to you. And that's what this product, with this these communities, you know, whether, you know, again, if you're into the cold glam, you got it. If you're into the low key vibe and beachy, you got it, you know, and if you want modern and a minimal feel, you got it. So that's the beauty of LiVV Homes. The more you live, like, there's the more the home. So we just want you to live. I mean, it's
absolutely,
it's kind of simple, but you know, just live.
All right, guys, that's it. We're going to end the show here. Like I said, thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, you know, leave them in the comments section. Also, we'll have Steve's information, also Doug's information. If you guys need an inspector, Steve, call him. He's got a lot of knowledge in the housing industry. He has a great website here, LiVV Homes, and you guys want to check that out. Call him. This is the most real and behind-the-scenes information on financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs going on in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Dan French, and I'll see you guys at the next one.
Thank you for watching the French Workbench podcast.
Yeah,
You
it's
can find
cool.
us here
Nice.
every
Yeah, thanks for
Tuesday
coming
at 6
down.
p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. to find out all the information on real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. Also, check us out on our LV Home Professionals website. You can find your future home there, a lot of good information, and you can find us on audio-only options through SoundCloud and